Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Zach Lee, back bringing you some more NBA news and updates. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, but with that being said, you guys all know the drill. As you're coming in, be sure to absolutely destroy that like button as it does help the channel grow. Also, shout out to all of you that came by the first live stream a couple of days ago. I had to cut it short because I was and still am pretty sick, but I had a really fun time hanging out with you guys, so shout out to those of you that came by. That being said though, that's enough talking. Now let's just take a look at everything that we gotta talk about today. Lego. First up in the news. Every summer, players have footage released of them putting in work at the gym, and maybe even showcasing a new element that has been added to their game. One of those players this summer has been Ben Simmons, who has had several videos of him leaked onto the internet, possibly showing the young star adding the most critical missing element to his game, a jump shot. Now, whether or not this jump shot is ready to be implemented into his actual game, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, we do have some good news out on Ben Simmons. As in new reports, Ben Simmons admitted to losing his love for the game last season, but says that he has now found that love for the game again by working out this summer. Here's exactly what Ben Simmons had to say. I feel like this summer I fell in love with the game again. I kind of got back to who I was and having fun with the game. I felt like the past season I just lost the enjoyment side of it, but I feel like this summer has been huge for me. Just the work I've been putting in. I kind of fell in love with putting that work in again, and I've been in the gym every day working, and the results have been paying off. So I'm excited for the season to start. So that's what Ben Simmons had to say about him refining his love for the game. As for why he lost that love for the game in the first place, well, he said that it had a lot to do with him listening too much and putting too much emphasis on what other people were saying about him on social media. Here's what he said. I think sometimes you get too deep into where you listen to other people, which should never be the thing you do unless they're giving you positive feedback or are trying to help you get better, because there's a lot of negativity out there. Once you kind of block that out, you don't really care. You go out there feeling free. You don't care if you miss a shot because everyone misses a shot. So that's one of the things that I think this summer I got back to how I was as a player, just playing and doing what I love at a high level. Now though, for his jump shot, aka the part of his game that gets criticized the most heavily. Ben Simmons did kind of allude to that in this interview as well, but he said that it's still a work in progress. I'm ready to be who I am as a player, continue to develop, continue to keep working. It's a process, it takes time. Obviously people always want to see results straight away, but that's not how things work. Honestly, Simmons was spitting nothing but straight facts throughout this entire interview. If you focus too much on what people are saying about you on social media, you kind of lose touch of what's really important, and that's what you think about yourself. And if you're doing that, then there's no way for you to go out there and enjoy what it is you're doing, since you're always worried about what others might say or think. So for Simmons, him just getting out of his head over what's being said about him online will, like he said, help him play more freely out there in the basketball court. So big ups to Ben Simmons, and I'm excited to see what he can do this year on the court. Next up in the news, Markelle Fultz is going to be one of the most interesting players to keep an eye on this upcoming season. After only playing a total of 33 games during his first 2 years in the league, Fultz now seems ready to see the court a lot more for the Orlando Magic during the upcoming season, as we got a couple of really encouraging Markelle Fultz articles out over the past 24 hours. The first one stating that with training camp set to get underway for the Magic, that Markelle Fultz will be a full participant in that training camp with no restrictions. Here's exactly what was said. We don't have any restrictions placed on Fultz right now on training camp. Obviously, with that being said, we will continue to move forward cautiously under the direction of our performance staff. Obviously, he hasn't been through this in a while, so it'll be all new trainers. But as of now, there aren't any restrictions. We expect him to be fully participating in camp. Now, Fultz in his article did also say that there are some days in which he is still feeling some pain, and that his shoulder injury is going to be something that he's always going to have to manage, aka it's fine right now, but they're still keeping an eye on him to make sure that if he does have any problems with his shoulder during training camp or any time in the future that he doesn't try to play through it or do anything that could aggravate the mysterious injury. Other than that though, another really exciting report that we got out regarding Fultz recently is one that says that he's been working his butt out training with the mega star Kobe Bryant this summer. That being said, it wasn't just Markelle Fultz though. Plenty of other NBA stars also attended Kobe's practices, including Kawhi Leonard, De'Aaron Fox, Aaron Gordon, Kyrie Irving, Paul George, and many, many more. It was invite only, but I mean, this is the coolest thing ever, right? Ever since Kobe retired, he's been very active when it comes to helping the new generation of players train, working in the past with players such as Giannis and Jason Tatum. And now for him to have just this academy called the Mamba Sports Academy, where he hosts a multitude of NBA stars, is really dope, especially for a player like Markelle Fultz, who, like I said, only got to play a total of 33 games throughout his first 2 years in the league. It's not even like those were full games either. It was minutes restrictions, all this other stuff going on. So he really didn't have a chance to test his skills against some of the elite of the elite players. But maybe he was able to do so in this Kobe Bryant Academy. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to pay off for Markelle, as well as every other player who attended this Kobe Bryant Academy. Also in the news, other than being a league where players are sent to improve a bit before possibly being called up to the NBA, the G League is also a place that the NBA runs a variety of tests before determining whether or not a new idea is good enough for the NBA itself. Last year, they were testing in the G League with 4 refs on the court as opposed to the traditional 3. And now this year, it seems that they're going to be running an even more radical test. A test that now requires players to simply shoot a single foul shot in order to claim the 2 or even 3 points that they missed out on due to the foul itself. So regardless of if the shot was a 2 or 3, the player fouled will step to the stripe to shoot just 1 free throw. Make it, they get the points. Miss it, they don't. Except for the final 2 minutes of regulation and overtime, where the game will go back to the traditional way of shooting free throws. And the whole idea of this is to see if they can speed up the pace of an NBA game even more. The article stated that the average G League game lasted for around 2 hours and 5 minutes last year. With this new rule, they expect the games to get under the 2-hour mark, which is a good thing because making the game smoother and having less momentum-killing interruptions will help with those times in which games seem to stagnate or drag on. And that's something that the NBA has been fighting for the past few years now, with changes to how timeouts and halftimes work, as well as changes to the shot clock not resetting to a full 24 seconds after an offensive rebound. Faster, faster, faster. That's what the NBA is after, so it will be interesting to see how this plays out in the G League this year, and whether or not it's ruled that they will look to implement into NBA games sometime in the future. Let me know what you guys think of this one down in the comment section below. Is this something that you like to see come to the NBA? Kyrie Irving is a player who saw a bit of damage done to his reputation amongst the fans this past season. After the Boston Celtics delivered one of the more disappointing seasons in recent NBA history, a lot of blame was placed upon the leadership of Kyrie Irving, as he was unable to inspire the rest of the players in the Celtics to play for the team instead of playing for themselves. Now though, with the Celtics firmly behind him as he is ready to start his next chapter of his career with the Nets, Irving made it a point to own up to what happened last season with the Celtics and accepted responsibility for how their season went. As first and foremost, he said that he was dealing with a lot last year due to the passing of his grandfather, who died right as the season was starting.
I believe you know, after the Phoenix game, I went to my grandfather's memorial, and he passed on October 23rd, and after he passed, basketball was the last thing on my mind. So a lot of basketball and the joy I had from it was sucked away from me, and there was a facial expression that I carried around with me throughout the year. Didn't allow anyone to get close to me in that instance, and it really bothered me. And I didn't take the necessary steps to get counseling or get therapy or anything to deal with someone that close to me dying. I've never dealt with anything like that. So for me, I responded in ways that are uncharacteristic. And like I said, I had to acknowledge that fact. And I had to acknowledge that fact to the organization first, because that was our internal bond and trust that we had. I talked to Danny, I wanted to re-sign. So throughout the year, it started becoming more and more clear that my relationships within my home life have way higher precedent than the organization or anyone. And I barely got a chance to talk to my grandfather before he passed from playing basketball. So you tell me if you would want to go to work every single day knowing that you just lost somebody close to you doing a job every single day that everyone from the outside or anyone internally is protecting you for.
And he also went on to say that his leadership just wasn't where it needed to be, because while he had a good relationship with a bunch of the players one-on-one, when it came to being able to corral the group as a whole and getting the players to play for the team instead of themselves, that he wasn't able to necessarily do that. Take a listen to what he had to say.
And I failed those guys in a sense that I didn't give them everything that I could have during that season, especially with the amount of pieces that we had. So my relationships with them personally were great, but in terms of me being a leader in that environment and bringing everyone together, I failed.
While admitting to all of this does do no good for the Celtics and the season that they had last year, now this is actually a big step for Kyrie and his growth as a leader, since one of the biggest things for a good leader to do is to be able to accept responsibility for the outcome of the unit. I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of the saying, a good captain goes down with his ship. So for Kyrie, even though his time as a leader for the Boston Celtics didn't go so smoothly, it was still a great learning experience that will help him further in his career, as well as this upcoming season, now that he will be one of the main leaders for the Brooklyn Nets. Now though, for what will actually be our final story of the day. For a while now, fans have known that height listings of certain NBA players have been very, very inaccurate, as players are routinely listed as either being taller or even shorter than they actually are, with one of the biggest offenders of this being Kevin Durant, who has hilariously been listed as 6'9" his entire career, despite it being evident that Durant is clearly taller than players who are listed at 6'11". Now though, that should no longer be a problem, as the NBA has just informed teams that they will need to submit accurate height and ages for all of their players, with height being measured without shoes. So now, with this being the case, it will be very interesting to see which players have their height affected the most. I'm sure some of them will be even taller than they've listed in the past, aka Kevin Durant, but also some might even be shorter than they've been listed in the past. And for those players, that could be bad. We could see some players falling below the sub 6 foot mark. So who do you think is gonna have the biggest difference made to their height chart? Let me know that down in the comment section below as well. That though is actually going to do it for everything that we have to talk about today. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs, but with all of that being said, once again, go ahead and destroy that like button, as well as make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with post notifications turned on so you don't miss out on future videos, especially since the season is right around the corner now. I mean, preseason's about to tip out. That's insane. And then we have less than a month until the tip off of the actual season as well. Been blabbering long enough though, so once again, thank you guys for watching. But until next time, keep getting the buckets, Team STC, and I'm out of here. Peace!